All right, and we're back for another episode of the Sports Department Podcast with Justin Valentovic, Jesse Norman, Stephen Clark, and Stephen Bologna, and we're here to recap Week 7 of the NFL season, and it was a bad one this week, first one of basically the whole season. We had a lot of blowouts, a lot of just bad games, boring games, nothing really too much to get into on those games, but we had a shocking upset, two shocking games, one being an upset, one not so much, more of just an ass kicking from one side to another. So we'll get into those games and everything more. So guys, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Just we're getting our sports equinox. We've been in it for a little while now. Got all 4 major U.S. sports. Jesse's very excited about hockey season and what's going on with boxing. So a lot of big stuff going on in the sports world, especially after a tough week like this.
Yeah, it's good that we have other sports on when there's a week like this. It was a pretty good week for betting, though. No underdogs really hit besides Bengals.
Yeah, sports.
Justin knows about that.
What are you trying to say? What?
The Bengals. That was the joke.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah, screwed my luck. So,
all right, I'm lost.
Well, before we get into recapping games, let's talk about the pick standings for the week. Came in last because I locked the Bengals and I only ended up with 3 points. So if I even hit the lock, I would have 8 points. So that was a brutal week for me. In third place, the J-Man, Jesse Norman.
Whoa.
With 12 points.
What?
Yeah, it wasn't a great week.
In second place, we got Clark with 13 points. And Bologna in first
14.
with 14. Yep.
By one.
So,
are me and Bologna tied for first now?
So the point standings as we go: Jesse in first with 94, Bologna in second with 92,
92,
Clark with 88, and me with 71. So
wow, you're just.
We wondered who was going to be the first one to miss their lock.
So it was me.
Well, me and Clark, week 1, we
won.
You guys both
and I'm
did
still
the
fighting.
Packers.
And I'm still fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve, it's really going to come down to which one of us loses our lock.
Hey man,
Yeah.
I'm right there.
Well,
And we can
no,
reset
that's
now.
what I mean. If once me or Steve loses that, we can be sent back,
The
and
third.
then you can come up. Yeah. The
We
lock
can
is
reset now,
the
though.
lock is
I need-
the only thing keeping you out.
I literally need to have a perfect week, and you guys need to literally get every single game.
What is
wrong
it?
one
Another
week.
plus
Oh
5
yeah,
for a
Justin, we
perfect
think
week?
you're probably out.
It's typically max is typically 14 to 15 points per week.
Plus
typically
5 for a perfect week.
Yeah. So, yikes. Bad on me.
Has anybody done a perfect week yet?
No one's hit a perfect week. So that's cool.
I've done a couple perfect cards in
You have.
WWE.
You have.
I
And
have.
Justin's also in last place with that one too.
Don't worry, Justin will randomly have 6 straight perfect weeks somehow. Oh, my first place somehow. Jesse, you pay me money.
All right, so let's get into week 7 of the NFL season. We'll start with the biggest upset of the week, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals going into Baltimore and beating the Ravens convincingly 41-17. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow both had career days. Burrow over 400 yards passing, Chase right over around. He have over 200 yards receiving.
Yeah.
So
200, yep.
they set the standard of what their ceiling can be together. They looked really, really good. The pick itself looks good that, it was worth going out and getting Jamar Chase. But on the flip side, Joe Burrow still took a beating and got hit around a lot. But the ceiling is pretty high for these two now based off of this game. And this was a major statement win for the Bengals of how they're doing a 180 from the past 2 seasons, and they are ready to compete now for the most part.
I said when you locked this team that the Bengals defense is a lot better than you think it is.
It did say that.
I did say that. You said this is a bad defense. I said, whoa, at worst, it's an average defense. They're really good against the run. Like that's the really big thing here is
they built themselves
Ravens,
to contain Lamar at that point.
The Ravens couldn't run the ball at all, and that really messed their offense up.
Well,
Lamar also was missing some passes.
The Ravens also can't really run the ball because they're on their 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th running backs at this season. But yeah, Lamar is basically
well, that's a little overstated though because their running backs are still pretty good.
No, I know.
Williams is available.
I mean, Lamar is
the best running back probably.
He still
on
had
the team.
88,
Yeah,
he had 88 on the ground, but still, if your quarterback is your leading rusher, that's a problem. Even how dynamic Lamar can be.
Oh, for sure. My biggest takeaway: the Ravens suck at tackling. They're
Oh,
so
yeah.
bad at tackling, dude.
Yes, that's been a problem all season. Notice that against
Yeah, no,
when the Colts were there
I think
firsthand.
yeah, it's gotten worse. That Jamar Chase 84-yard touchdown, that should have been a 12-yard slant. Like that shouldn't. He broke
Have
like 3
happened.
tackles there, and all of them had a very good angle at him. They're really bad at tackling. Mixon was just shedding guys left and right.
Yeah, he's like one of the highest rushers in the league, I think.
Third.
Wow.
Yeah, no, and that's great and everything, but it's more about them, I think, than Mixon and all those guys. The Bengals played great, and that's good for them because I think that's where they are. I think they're capable of competing in this AFC. They have a good enough roster. The Ravens need to learn how to tackle, and it's never good when the defense can switch the way it does, because look at them versus the Chargers. They stopped them, they covered them, they couldn't do anything the whole time, and then now you go this week against a similar type of offense and you're getting crushed.
This was
So
more
I
of
just
a,
don't know if this defense is good or bad.
This was more of a trap game for the Ravens because, they've seen the Bengals be bottom tier horrible for the past 2-3 years since they, really gutted that whole team. So I think this was really just a wake up call that it's not just the Browns and an aging Steelers team coming for you now. Now you actually have the team that you thought was few and far away actually getting ready to go, and probably the best threat behind the Browns now, of course.
The Ravens and Steelers just got 10 years of like a terrible
Dominance.
division.
Yeah,
of just the Browns being bad and the Bengals being mid. So now they have to wake up. The Patriots had to realize this too. You can't just sit on your laurels and be on top the entire time. It's not going to work.
Steve, what do you got?
Looking at, I'm happy for the Bengals. Zach Taylor saving his job for at least another 2 years with this.
Record aside, they're 5-2, but the
as
fact
long
that
as Burrow likes him.
Well, that's the thing, and it's working. It seems like they're at least building around him, and he's finally getting some capable talent around him. Last year was obviously a wash with Burrow getting hurt. So, yeah, and he definitely bought some time.
I have a stat here for you guys, which is kind of crazy. Jamar Chase has over 200 yards, more than 200 yards than where Justin Jefferson was at this point last season.
Wow.
Yep.
Which is kind of crazy to think about with the year Justin Jefferson had. So, again, you can say what you want.
Did he break the rookie receiving record?
Yeah, Chase is going to break his probably.
I want to say so, but yeah, I mean, good for the Bengals. Starting to win again. Very underrated defense, good defensive line. Baltimore, this is Lamar's team. That's pretty much it.
They got to wake up.
Yeah, I think Baltimore is not that good of a team, honestly. I really don't. Just even going back to the Monday night game with the Colts, I mean, they should have lost that game. And the Colts aren't a top tier team. They're not the top of the AFC by any means, and they almost lost that one. And, the Bengals are a good team, and they lost to a good team. It's different saying the Bengals are a good team, but they are. And I don't know. Ravens just got to get their stuff together. Their defense needs to step up. I think their offense is fine for the most part. It's just establish, I hate to say, more of a running game, which even though they do enough.
Learn how to tackle, basically, in the open
defense,
field. Learn how to
exactly.
tackle.
Yeah.
Open field tackles, get healthy.
So a team that really has to get their what together because their season is slowly falling apart and breaking down in front of their eyes, that's the Kansas City Chiefs. And they hosted the Tennessee Titans, who we thought this game could go either way. I being the only one who picked the Titans. Doesn't help my case that much as I blew my lock. So
gave you 3 points instead of 2 points.
Yep. They went into Kansas City and won and shocked the Titans.
This game was in Kansas City?
I think it was, wasn't it?
No, it was in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was
in Tennessee.
It was in Tennessee. Never mind. But
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. The Titans still went in and punched the Chiefs square in the mouth and ran the ball down their throat.
Technically, the
Chiefs,
Titans didn't go in, though. The Titans stayed at home.
Going into this game.
There you go. Switching gears.
The Titans, though, surprised the Chiefs, and really the offense had no answer for their defense. Harold Landry is looking like a pretty good pass rusher. Danico Autry is a nice complementary piece. Bud Dupree had a game that, kind of validates that contract a little bit. So the Titans, similar to the Ravens, where the Bengals are creeping up on them, the Titans are creeping up on the Chiefs, and I think they caught them by surprise just because the Chiefs season is slowly falling apart.
It's done. It's done. They're a wild card team at best, I think now. If you look at who they beat this year, they only kind of beat bad teams. Like the Browns, I mean, are the best team that they beat. The only other teams they beat are the Eagles and the football team. Like they haven't beat like these contenderish type teams. And when they do play the contenders, they lost to the Ravens, the Chargers, the Bills, now the Titans, all potential AFC championship teams. I just don't think they're a good team, and I hate to say it, but I saw this coming. I saw the Chiefs taking that step back. Mahomes has been too dominant. People are going to start figuring out how to get to Mahomes and how to figure out this offense, and the defense isn't good at all. Like we knew that coming into the season. I felt it. I just felt this coming, and it's happening. It's happening. And I think their season's done. Wild card team at best, but I think for the most part, their season's done.
And it's amazing too that Henry only had 86 yards on the ground, and he's still 300 plus yards ahead of the next leading rusher in the NFL. So the fact that he really didn't have to do as much as he has been doing the past 6 weeks, and the Titans still convincingly won, just shows that this Titans team is poised to win now, and this is their window.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I'm not saying he's going to quit football, but Mahomes got his money. We see a lot of players throughout every single sport. Once they get their money, they start to decline. And I'm not saying Mahomes is going to do that, but he's got his money. So take that as you will. AJ Brown, nice game from him, 8 for 133 and a touchdown. But what is the matter with Julio Jones? I mean,
he's not healthy again.
He's just
it's
like
going to be. I think there's another year of this. That was the risk that they took when they traded for him, and I would still take that trade. I think you still have to, but at this point, instead of trying to get him to go out there every other week and re-aggravate something,
save him for the playoffs.
Just sit him for 6 or 7 weeks, and but the problem is the Falcons did that last year and it didn't help. He seems
but also
to keep getting these nagging injuries.
But also
that
the Falcons
won't stop.
The Falcons also weren't really making a playoff push, so you can at least do that. IR him for a little bit and get him ready for the playoffs.
But that's what the thing. They already did it. Atlanta did that last year. It just didn't help him. He came back, and then within 2 games again, he was hurt. But last year was the foot. I think this year it's the hip. So you
still
never know,
lower leg injuries on a 6 foot, 3-4 receivers.
A massive freak.
That's not good.
Huge. Again, I still think you do that deal every time that you're offered it. But looking at the Chiefs, this defense is really bad. It's really bad. And I think they, as well as the 49ers, are the only other ones that I can think of that desperately, desperately, desperately need another receiver. It's funny to think that this Chiefs offense, I'm so tired of thinking that McCole Hardman is actually really good, or that Byron Pringle is supposed to develop into some player.
They just built speed.
You have 3 of the same players.
Yeah,
Sammy Watkins left, and you didn't get a big X receiver. Your big X receiver is Kelsey. If Kelsey's banged up, or is it having 12 receptions a game, your only other threat is Tyreek Hill. And yeah, granted, those are 2 fantastic weapons. They're probably the best 2 weapons on any offense that you could start with. But you don't have anything else. And the line, size. The line's not I'm going to say this.
It's good. It's better than what
I think the line is doing. I think the line is doing a fine job. I think Mahomes is holding the ball too long, and I will criticize Mahomes for that. The interceptions, I think, are being entirely overblown. Oh, he has 13 picks. 5 of them were dropped catches. People don't seem to like to talk about that. Of Rodgers only has 13 picks in the past 51 games. Do you know how many Rodgers' picks were dropped catches? 0. Mahomes hasn't thrown 13 interceptions, so I'm not going to criticize him for that. Holding on to the ball, trying desperately to make a play that's not there, it's like Justin Fields-esque. It's rookie-esque. He's trying so hard to do everything that it's just letting them down. The main thing I think, though, defenses are putting a double deep safety down on Tyreek Hill. They're saying beat us low, beat us under, beat us on drags.
And they're not built for that.
Mahomes doesn't want to do it. Mahomes doesn't want to do it. I mean, they have the players, I think, to if you dump off to McCole Hardman on a 2-yard drag. Or Kelsey, you can do that. They just don't want to. That's what everybody's saying to the Chiefs right now that I think is so sad is, hey, we're going to take away that big play. You beat us for a full 60 minutes. And the Chiefs are just like, oh, man, we don't want to do that. We don't want to have to go on 12 play drives. We want to go on 4 or 5 play drives, score, and that's fine. That's what we want to do. We don't want to grind out games. and it's costing them.
They do get the Giants on Monday night this week at home, though, which should help.
Oh my
If
god!
they
Finally,
struggle, though, I mean,
another bad
that's
team from the beat.
I can't just put it. It's either they're going to bounce back or this game is going to be way too close because the Giants either Mahomes is going to sit on the ball too long or the offensive line's going to implode this week. Something's going to happen.
The
where,
Giants don't even have a great
close.
pass rush either.
No,
Leonard
it's just
Williams.
Williams on the
Leonard
interior.
Williams, yeah.
Azeez Ojulari looked good, but he hasn't done anything the past like 2 or 3 games, I don't think.
Yeah, so definitely the Chiefs' kingdom might be slowly crumbling just a bit, but
They need to trade for a receiver again, desperately. Like, I can't say that enough.
and a more capable running back just
need
to
a
take the
receiver.
load off a little bit of Mahomes.
CH.
Justin would
Just
love to take the
fumbles.
load off Mahomes.
So let's go out to the Bay on Sunday Night Football. The 49ers hosted the Colts in basically a hurricane,
Whoa,
Bomb
Sunday Night
cycle.
Football already?
Yeah, I'm going in order of interesting.
Importance. There's a lot of
bad
non-interesting
games.
games.
Yeah.
were you at the game?
I'm not
No.
complaining. Thank God he wasn't at the game. Would have blown that in the fourth quarter.
My soggy ass in the rain, hurricane. But the Colts went into the Bay in a hurricane. Both teams had a brutal game to play in, and the
Those are
Colts
injuries.
ended up doing the job, getting the win 30-18. And if there weren't 97 yards worth of pass interference, Colts, I don't think, moved the ball downfield. If it wasn't a hurricane, I don't think the Colts moved downfield either. And if Trey Lance was playing, I think it's a more competitive game because Garoppolo is obviously
He
still hurt
stinks.
and is struggling. And Jonathan Taylor had another good game. And Elijah Mitchell, as a rookie, had another good game, had a
Taking
pretty
every
good game,
point.
100 yards, touchdown. So he did what he could to keep
Like
him in the
80
game.
of it on the first drive.
Gonna save anything for us to say? Or you just gotta read everything?
I'm just getting into
All
it.
right,
but-
sorry, dude. Sorry.
Clark, take it away.
Of course. A couple of takeaways. Jimmy G stinks. I don't think he's good. Even if the pass interference called, I'm gonna go back to that. There were a lot called, but
Right?
I don't think obviously, Pittman caught one with the pass interference call. I still think, with the pass interference call, say it didn't happen, I still think the Colts would have pulled this one out with that. I do agree though with Lance playing that would have been a lot closer, maybe even Niners win. But no, Taylor's establishing himself as a top 10 back in the league, even close. Justin and I had this debate the night of Sunday Night Football.
Knocking on the door, top 5, potentially.
I say he's just right outside the top 5, but Justin saying he's top 5.
I think if
At
anything's
5.
holding him back, it's Reich.
Honestly,
they don't
not
give him enough
touches.
carries. Mac,
But
one thing,
no.
Mac should not be in this game at any point. Just
No.
saying.
Mac,
No,
why is he
I'm
even
sorry,
traded
I don't really think Hines should be.
He's a receiving
Either.
back, Hines. He's a good receiving back.
He's good
But
on
why
3rd and
are-
long. But also,
why
Mac,
are you limiting Taylor?
But
Just
Taylor's-
let him be
I
a
agree.
receiving back.
no, I agree. Like when Taylor's
I think
had to
honestly,
catch passes,
Taylor's
his hands have gotten better since college.
he's a workhorse. Let him be your workhorse back. I just don't.
He should be getting 20
everybody
touches
in-
a game.
Everybody
least.
in the NFL and offensive coordinators have just gotten so smart that they feel like they all need 5 running backs because they all think they're Kyle Shanahan. When in reality, if
Look
you
at the
just have
Titans.
one really good running back and maybe Hines can come in a couple downs
Yeah,
again.
he can catch.
I'm fine with that. But he shouldn't be closing out your drive for you. Like, and I get the game was over, but like, why was Hines in for the last 3 drives of the game? Taylor
Doesn't
got
make sense.
one.
No,
Taylor got, I think, 2 carries the whole fourth
but
quarter.
that's been the story of the Colts season where it's like, where's Taylor? Like they
Yeah,
have an
I just- and I
infatuation
don't-
with splitting reps
I don't
still.
like the cuteness they try to do in the red zone. You have a power offense. Why are you trying to do these fades and
I texted Clark
I don't get it.
when Wentz ran the read option to get into the end zone, right? I texted Clark because that was a pass interference in the end zone that put us at the 1. I literally
Yes.
texted Steve and I said, we're at the 1-yard line with a sledgehammer running back in Jonathan Taylor. I don't think we score. I don't feel good about this. And it
It
literally
wound up
took
being a Carson Wentz read option play.
Yeah,
That made
on
it
third and
Also,
fourth
Taylor would have scored on that
Yes.
if he handed
Yeah.
it off. I don't know why Wentz pulled it. Taylor literally walked in.
Nope.
Wentz took more of a hit than Taylor would have.
Yep.
which he shouldn't be.
I think if Lance is in this game, I do think the Niners win just because they could run 20 quarterback options.
Yeah.
And that's
Would've faked us
perfect
all
for
up.
this weather.
Yeah.
That's perfect for this weather. I'm surprised nobody said Darius Leonard, defensive player of the year front runner so
Honestly,
far, probably.
yeah, he has more
I don't
takeaways
know
than
who
like
else.
half the teams in the league.
He has 8
The only
takeaways
other
this
player
season.
you could put is Diggs, but Diggs gives up a lot of yards and
They
gets
don't care.
burned a lot
They
too.
don't care.
So
It's all
they don't care.
all
He's a
about the-
playmaker, but we'll see. We'll see.
He's literally
But
having the
up there.
Jameis Winston of defensive back seasons. He's getting the most
It's-
interceptions, but giving up the most yards. So it's like, what do you value at that point?
It's him. TJ is up there. Donald's obviously always.
Donald's
up there.
always going to be in the
Donald's
conversation.
always, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even
But
if he
Leonard's
does, like,
making
nothing.
impact plays, similar to
Yeah.
Diggs with takeaways,
Turnovers,
but they're just not. He's just not a sexy cornerback. He's a linebacker.
I think it's also
Hey.
gonna depend on the Colts
Season.
record at the end of
Yeah.
the year.
Definitely.
Yeah, and how good the defense is around him as well. Well, actually, you guys might not want him to win because then he'll probably become injury prone.
Hey, he won
Honestly.
defensive rookie. He won defensive rookie of the year, so he's been.
It's okay to win rookie of the year, not defensive player of the year. That's when they all get bad after they win that, except for Don.
few things here. Pittman, really good. Very happy to see his production going up.
Pittman's so good.
He's becoming a
Only
dude.
thing is, God forbid he goes down.
What the hell are we throwing to?
Who you throwing to?
Egastron.
God, shut
Pascal,
up.
Ty.
Ti is hurt again. He
yeah,
came
yeah,
in and
but
got hurt
He's coming
against
back
the Houston.
Sunday.
He
He's
literally
back
came
Sunday.
in to beat the Texans and then got hurt against the Texans. So
That's what you pay him for.
This
I think he's gone. either way.
Texans eater.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it a
The
retire?
defense does scare me a little bit for the Colts, just because two drives
little
in
bit.
particular. In
They have no
particular,
defensive secondary.
the opening drive, I thought it was the opening drive and I think it was the
The
fumble. by
opening
Colts.
drive,
I'm like-
the 49ers just
Dogged
gashed.
us.
With ease.
Just
Yeah.
every
With ease.
run.
and
just
then it
every
was
run.
the 3-play, 70-yard.
In like the
drive
fourth
by the
quarter
Niners.
or whenever that
Yup,
was.
the
yeah.
play actions.
You're right, Justin. It is the secondary. If you guys can shore
But
that
also,
up.
they also have no presence in the middle. Like as good as Darius Leonard is, they have no presence up the middle. It seems in coverage. at all.
Dio,
What about
Clark.
Oka?
No, he didn't play.
Big fat zero.
Disappointing.
Who are you talking about, Jesse?
Disappointing. Oka, he changed it. He
Okereke.
changed how he pronounced it.
Okereke.
I don't
Oh,
want
Kirky or
yeah, he changed it. He changed it for
But then,
something.
but
with
then
his, like,
in his
family
intro,
heritage, so I
but then
don't-
his intro, like where they go to the defense on Sunday Night Football,
Yeah.
he still said
He
Okereke.
said Okereke still. He doesn't even know how to
That's
say his
so
own
weird
name.
because they did a whole monologue thing
I know.
about how he wanted to change. So I didn't want to like butcher the last name
No.
and be disrespectful.
Okereke.
But need an upgrade over him for sure.
Yeah.
I think a good
Yeah.
run stopping linebacker right behind Buckner, I think would really, really help that defense.
Yeah. So any last takeaways on Sunday Night Football?
Niners are
Trillions
bad.
plays, Niners win.
Cool.
Yeah, Niners are bad.
So-
Without injuries.
Falcons Dolphins was a close game because this is where we slowly start just going down of just crap.
I
games this
actually
week.
watched a lot of this game because it was on Red Zone. So if you guys want me to just
Yeah, go take it away. Kyle Pitts had a good
this
game.
this wasn't really supposed to be that close. Surprise, surprise, the Falcons let the Dolphins get back into it. But Matt Ryan played really well. Tua looked okay. I don't think they're losing because of him. I think the rest of the team is really rough as well. The Falcons, if they're going to feed the ball to Pitts like they have been, this is a competitive team. This is a team that can beat anybody any given day. They have enough talent. That's pretty much it. It looks a lot closer than it should have been. Tua like drug them back in, but also the Falcons kind of just went like prevent after like the second quarter. So
Now it's just becoming when does Miami
When-
trade for Watson?
It's the
at this
inevitable.
point?
Not that much time left.
well,
Only like a week.
Miami did just lose some leverage because Watson is now open to getting traded to
Elsewhere.
more teams. The only team he had acknowledged was Miami.
That's the thing.
Now
Well,
he's
but the
okay with
Panthers
other
are in
ones.
in on him, I think, too, which could be an
He
interesting.
won't play for the Eagles, I think. I don't know if he's changed that, but originally he said he is not interested in Philadelphia.
But the three
Yeah.
main teams would probably be Philly, Miami, or
football team.
Carolina.
Football team too, I heard, is around in that
Kansas
discussion too.
had it. I
They
hope
have.
not.
You wouldn't you send
I don't-
articles like a week
Do
or
we
two?
want, dude? They don't
Well,
need
that
No,
was
PR.
football team I heard was in on Tua.
That's
Oh,
what I heard.
Tua,
Yeah.
They would
That's
try to
right,
get
that's
him
right.
because it
They
doesn't.
would
sound,
try to get him if Miami dumps
because it doesn't sound like the Texans want a quarterback
Texans don't.
back.
They don't want to deal. They don't
Spencer
want a
Rattler
quarterback.
season.
Ugh.
Matt Corral season.
So Thursday night football,
Carson Strong.
we had Browns Broncos, Case Keenum revenge game.
Ew.
Yeah.
This was gross. I didn't like watching this.
Yeah, I didn't
game.
watch much of it.
It was brutal to watch. Browns won though, so their season's still afloat, at least until Baker gets his arm reattached. So that's good.
Only thing is from here that I got the Broncos and the Panthers are frauds. They started 3-0, and then they both lost 4 straight after that. They're frauds.
This kind of always happens with Teddy.
I feel
Like
bad for
Teddy,
him.
Teddy starts like the first 2 games and everybody's like, wow, like why did everybody move off this guy? And then by like the 7th, 8th game, you're like,
Oh, that's
that's
why.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're still a quarterback away. Von Miller's probably gonna leave at the end of the year.
His contract's
but
up,
that's
right?
okay. He's not, and he's gonna get paid so much money that he's not worth anymore.
Colts, baby.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was kind of what we thought with
He's-
JJ Watt, and he's showing like he belongs a little bit still.
So
So
he's
you never know.
surrounded by greatness
Yes, but I
too.
think
Oh, that helps.
JJ's also doing a much different role now. JJ's like a run-stopping defensive tackle as opposed to a rushing D end. Von Miller like misses like every other game, and he just got off the torn Achilles. And I guarantee you, a team's going to give him like a $22 million deal.
It's gonna be
like,
like
it's gonna
the
be something
Falcons or
crazy.
something. It'll be some
Somebody's going to
weird
give
team.
him, or some team that like thinks they're going to be a lot better than they actually are,
Exactly.
and they're going to do it. But yeah, he's probably going to leave. This is such an interesting team because they're young, but they have impact pieces, but also they're so far from a Super Bowl because they can't figure out the quarterback position.
They have one of the
and-
best potential offensive like grouping of weapons for a quarterback, and the line's
Yeah.
fine. Like literally, like you said, just a quarterback
Yeah.
away. They've been a quarterback
Quarterback
away
away.
since Manning retired.
They were a quarterback away when Manning
Paxton
was there
Lynch,
the
baby.
last 2 years.
Oh,
Paxton Lynch.
That
Paxton
was
Lynch
brutal.
scarred John
He's-
Elway.
That he'll never
so
draft another
hard
quarterback.
That he'll never draft another first-round quarterback. He's intent on trying to hit a guy in like the 3rd, 4th round so that he can keep drafting defensive players in the first. He's insistent on it. Yeah, my big takeaway: the Broncos are frauds. Like they'll win a couple games here and there, probably, but they're not actually like.
And
that
Keenum will
good.
at least keep the Browns afloat until
He'll keep them
Baker's out.
afloat. Yeah, they'll be fine.
I honestly forgot that he was even there. So cool. Raiders Eagles.
That's good for them to get him as a backup.
No, it is. That's
most teams, because look at what the Eagles just did. Like giving Flacco or getting Flacco just to then be able to trade him away
To get an asset back.
to the Jets. Yeah,
So
like
funny.
the Jets
So
had
funny.
the Jets had Flacco as their backup. Then we're
Let him
like,
walk.
oh, no,
Literally
no,
let
we'll
him
let
walk.
him walk. What you need? Why do you just go into
And
the
it's like-
season without a backup?
like when they traded Darnold, it made sense to trade him because you didn't want any competition for Wilson. But you should still get a competent backup
Get
so
a
you have
veteran.
some. Yes.
Just re-sign Flacco.
Yeah.
That's all
But-
you had to do was just re-sign Flacco.
Let's talk about the post Flacco era Eagles as well as the post Gruden era Raiders, who are 2-0, and they beat the Eagles 33-22. And Derek Carr is having his best season of his career, even better than what his MVP caliber season would have been back in 2016 until he got hurt. And the Raiders offenses, they look good, even without Darren Waller.
And Josh Jacobs were a big part of this game. Good
About
win by
half of
them.
it, I want to say.
Eagles, little comeback here, but Hurts looks rough. It's not looking too great over there. That's why, I think Philly would be the best destination for Watson, but like Jesse said, he's probably not going to want to go there. And I don't know why, but
they would be brutal to Watson if he
Yeah.
didn't like play right away once they traded for him. He would be.
It would
Or
be
if they
bad.
traded for him
He'd
and
be
then the
crucified.
sexual assault stuff happened and he couldn't play for them.
Ooh.
Oh, Philly.
over.
would
And then they have no assets
pissed.
to replace
Yup.
any of the talent.
Hey, at least they're going to have 3
It would be
first-round
bad.
top 10 draft picks.
Those
Look
are
at
all,
that.
those would all go to the Texans probably.
definitely.
Great. All this comes back.
So
that
yeah,
would
Carson's
go
helping the
to
bite us.
Texans.
Yeah.
It's okay. Deshaun doesn't want to play in Philly.
Thank God.
Yeah, you're right.
But Carr 323,
Carr.
Kenyon Drake 70 yards, nothing.
This was another game that wasn't as close as the score lets it
No.
on to be.
Yeah.
The Raiders stomped them out by like halftime. And then again, they went prevent. Hurts got like 2 touchdowns. Congratulations. Like Hurts' stat line always looks
Yippee.
better than he actually was. And I like Hurts, but ooh,
anyone
not-
think
that's
anyone
not
else think
comfortable.
Carr's just gonna like fall off in like 3 weeks?
I don't know.
I'm just feeling that. I don't know why. I mean, he's having a great season. Like
I could
really,
just
really
see the
good season.
Raiders just. I feel like the Raiders
Plummet.
just aren't going to beat good teams that they're going to play.
Yeah, I just
think they'll
feel
beat
that
up-
coming.
Have they played the
Yeah.
Chargers yet? They did. That was
They beat him week 1.
yeah.
No,
They
week
beat
2.
them week 1. Yeah.
Week 2
You
or
know,
3, one of
if
them.
they play competitive and even beat the Chargers again, then you can kind of almost say
Then I'd
they're
be like, okay, they
But
could
it-
win the division possibly.
don't know when that is. Let's take a gander at that.
I feel like every interim head coach they always go like 2-0 and 3-0 the first 3 games.
Well, they're literally still running Gruden's thing.
Oh,
Like nothing's changed.
they closed the season out against the Raiders week 18, so that's going to be a while.
Ooh.
Nice.
Week 18, that's a long time.
But they also coming up their
Week
next
18.
few games are Giants after they're on a bye week next week. So then Giants, Kansas City, Cincy, Dallas, Washington, Kansas City, Cleveland, Denver, Indy, and Los Angeles Chargers.
That's a tough schedule.
So
That is tough.
we shall see.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
No, anything else on this team?
Max Crosby's good.
Yep.
That's it.
It's a Cleveland Farrell 4th overall.
And
They did take Cleveland
Leatherwood
Farrell.
mid.
They're trying to trade him for like a 4th.
Some of the Gruden first round picks are just brutal.
But
I don't know
then you
how.
realize he hit on Hunter Renfro, and you're like, man,
Yeah, but
Oh,
I don't
Renfro.
know how Mayock let him sign off on those
He's the-
draft picks. But
he's the best player in the NFL.
Yes, he is.
so let's take
According to
a quick look at the Rams Lions game that I am forced
Jesse's
to
two
pick.
teams.
Exactly. Until they win, the Lions will be my pick for every single week, unfortunately. But they hung tough
Fantastic.
with
Yeah.
the Rams up until a Jared Goff interception to seal it, which that is very poetic that he did that in LA. They lost by 9. Poor Dan Campbell not biting any kneecaps this week, but he is getting the most he can out of his guys.
Not much
I
to say
needed the
here.
Rams to win this game by 8 or more, and then somehow the Lions did stop them on 3rd and 1, so they couldn't kneel out, and they had to kick it, and it made them go up 9. So thank you, Detroit Lions defensive front, because you got me $125 that I would not have paid.
Hey.
You
And
reinvest it?
another 20 from
that's
Justin.
my big.
Another 20 from Justin. You're right.
That's my big takeaway from all this. Thank you, Detroit, for losing by 9.
Rams are good. Lions stink. That's all I got.
Cup has to be in the OPOY consideration. At
Definitely.
This point. Another 2
I think at this
touchdowns,
point,
$150.
Cup's got to be your best receiver. The only person I think you can argue is Devontae Adams. That's it.
Yeah, because he's just
Crazy.
putting up video game numbers. Like he's on pace to give Calvin's record for most receiving yards in a season a run.
Ridiculous.
Like the fact that Cooper Kupp is doing that. But also that just shows how good of a quarterback Matt Stafford is, that the fact that Kupp went from being a good receiver, throughout his whole tenure
Possibly one of the best.
to a in the conversation as a top receiver in the NFL. So
Yeah.
definitely interesting to see. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the blowouts of this week. So that'll be a painful part to get through. So we'll be back. All right, and we're back for the second half of the Week 7 recap. We didn't start the podcast with the football team, so let's start the second half with the football team as they took on the Green Bay Packers. Bologna said they were going to lose by 35 points. They lost by 14, so they hung tough.
It's a 30 plus. Listen, I mean, they still lost by
It's
double
35,
digits.
not 30 plus.
Okay, but you were being very specific with that
Was being-
35.
I know.
Listen, I mean, Justin also took the Ravens as a lock, so let's not forget about that.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is just another embarrassing loss for the football team in the red zone. 7 times, came out with 3 points, including a Taylor Heineke diving at the 1 yard line
That was bad.
when
That
he
was-
had nothing
He
but
made
daylight
it.
ahead of him.
He made
No.
it.
No,
he gave
that was a
himself up.
touchdown.
He gave himself
He
up.
was short, and then got
I
stuffed on the
understand,
next
but-
guy.
If that was a running back or a receiver, that would have been a touchdown.
Oh no, excuse me. He got in the next. Like he
Yeah,
was
but
still
they-
moving,
I
and
know
they
that
blew the
one,
whistle
that one.
early.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you
He
meant the
was in.
dive. The dive was
No.
yikes.
They said they also tried to say on the goal line run that his momentum was stopped. Not
Yeah, I don't-
true.
I
that
know.
was That was some weird shit that the refs were on in that red zone. I'm not saying like it was just like I think they were just making mistakes. Like they just were messing up. And
Yeah,
it kind
there
of
were a
costed the
few,
football team.
few missed PIs and few bad PI calls. I mean, Terry McLaurin 7 for 122 and a touchdown.
Not bad.
Really good catch. Ricky Seals Jones is surprisingly a really good tight end. for us, which I'm happy about. The defense
Makes
played
Logan
great.
Thomas expendable.
I mean, to give up 7 points a quarter is, not ideal. Obviously, don't want to give up points, but they kept them in the game. And considering, let's say Washington scored 5 times out of those 7 red zone trips, I mean, this is a completely different game. So I am taking the positive out of that. But Justin, I'm curious, when you go to a store, okay, let's say something costs 75 cents. You hand the cashier $1. What do you get back?
Your money.
No.
Are you an idiot?
Change.
You get a quarterback, right? See, that's what Washington needs, a quarterback.
Well, change too, that too.
They need a change at quarterback. Yes.
Fair
Don't know where it's going to come, but it has to happen. Heineke,
Not
great
this season.
Heineke's not it. I think it'd be a little different if Fitzmagic was healthy. I really think,
I don't.
I think at least one more win.
Heineke was your leading rusher with 95 yards.
Well,
the game.
Gibson's
He had
playing
one
hurt.
like
Gibson's playing
48-yard
hurt.
run.
Gibson's playing hurt. I'll give him that.
He was the leading rusher of the game, though. Green Bay has Aaron Jones.
Yeah, they shut down Aaron Jones.
Oh, they didn't run Aaron Jones like the whole time, which is funny. Devontae Adams now is tested positive for COVID, so he's not going to be able to play Thursday night.
Isn't he on your
they're
fantasy
probably
team?
going to give. Yes, they're going to give him.
Yeah.
They're going to give Aaron Jones like 30 carries probably.
It's Arizona.
Yeah, they're going to have to. I'm sorry. Are they going to throw deep to Marquez Valdez-Scantling?
Lazard and Bob Tunyon.
Freaking time, Justin.
They have been.
Got to give the ball to him.
Now Packers.
Washington.
I got that. Packers, obviously since week 1, they've been fine. Washington's their biggest concern is quarterback, like Steve said. Defense not bad, playing better than a couple other weeks, but still not the Washington defense that we've expected to see. I'm not going to judge Gibson or any of that because I know he's playing with like a split in his shin or something.
Yeah, like a hairline fracture. So that thing's ready to go soon.
Horrible.
Just shut him down.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like you can't do anything about that. It's Heineke. It's Heineke. I know, he gets the hype.
He's good in a pinch, but not long term.
But yeah, it's Heineke.
He's hot and cold. You can't have a hot and cold quarterback.
I agree.
Not going to win you. Not going to win you games.
Yeah.
Steve, like you said, 7 red zone trips, 3 points. They had three trips in the second half, and I don't think came away with any. And in a 2-score game, like that's. And let's also remember this Packers defense isn't lockdown. They actually statistically had one of the worst red zone defenses. I think coming into the game, everybody had scored at least some points on every red zone trip. And then the Washington football team goes in and goes 0 for 7 or 1 for 7 with the 3 points. No, it's crazy. How do you get to the red zone 7 times and you score 10 points? If you just got to the red zone and just started kicking right from the beginning,
I like kicking.
You at least have 21. It was rough to watch because watching it on red zone, it was the Washington football team is back in the red zone. And then Heineke does some BS or something
Pulls
stupid happens or blows the kick and
hey, the one got blocked and he made the other, so I'm happy.
He did, yeah. But it was rough for Washington. That was real rough.
So let's talk about the last few games of the week, which are just brutal. 4 of the last 5 were 20-plus point blowouts. So let's start with Monday Night Football. Saints 13, Seahawks 10, with Geno Smith at the helm for the Seahawks with a long touchdown to DK Metcalf. That was basically offensive pass interference. Wasn't called, and the Saints win. Cool. This was a bad game.
Yeah. All I know out of this is that Will Lutz is going to be out for a while. And
out for the year.
That's for the year.
And Jameis's favorite
got the game winner too. Yeah. So
and Jameis's favorite target is Alvin Kamara, and that was a whole bunch of checkdowns last night.
Because honestly, the receiving core ain't too hot. I mean, Troutman's okay, but I mean, without having Thomas or anything.
I like Callaway. I think Callaway's good, but he's a better 2. Once Thomas comes back, it'll be better.
So yeah, they're still fight a good win for the Saints. I mean, if Russ was healthy, I mean, this would have been a blowout, I feel.
Oh, it would have been Seattle still. Yeah.
But no, not much to say here.
And if Chris Carson didn't have a broken
play
neck.
Jacob Eason instead of Geno Smith. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Jacob Eason.
And Russ could be back soon because he was getting
He-
the hand
he
looked at
wants
and
to-
evaluated.
He's crazy. I
Him
think
and
he might be back.
Carson are
Like,
nuts.
Yeah.
once he can come off the IR, he's gonna come off.
Well, remember when he like
Um,
sprained an ankle or like broke his ankle or something, and he would do like 3-hour power naps, wake up, rehab it, go back to sleep, wake up, rehab. So he was doing
Rehab it, probably.
like the most amount of rehab possible in like a normal with like a
He never
sleep
missed
schedule.
a game. He
Yeah.
never missed
Yeah,
a
he was a
He's
start game.
psychopath.
insane.
Most likely he'll be back week 9 versus Washington.
Oh,
Most likely.
no.
He'll be back the first week he can come off IR for sure.
Which I think is
without
next
a
week.
doubt.
That's so
Um,
painful for Steve.
Oh yeah, big time.
Which actually would
the
be week
Saints-
9 because he got
'Cause he was put
IR'd
on-
last week
Yeah,
and then IR'd this week, so he would be one last week of next week. So
one
yeah, it
last
would be
week, next week. Yep.
Yep.
Of course.
The Saints are just trying to stay afloat until Thomas comes back and see how that impacts them. I don't know how in the world the Bucks are only favored over the Saints by like 3.5
Because
points.
of
doesn't make
divisional
sense.
rivalry. That's
Don't
all.
care.
How's that
Don't
not
get
at
it.
least 6 to 7? How's that
It
not
should
at
be
least a
at
touchdown?
least 5.5. It should be at least a touchdown. Like 3.5 is crazy.
Yeah.
The Saints are really just trying to buy time. They're really lucky they ran into a backup quarterback here.
And Geno Smith,
They
who hasn't
really-
really played since like 2014, 16 or whatever
They
the hell it
don't
was.
let Jameis throw anything that's not either a specific check down or is 15 yards
They
down.
They
don't
treat
trust
him.
him.
They treat him like
He
he's
is
Drew
not
Brees
allowed-
with a dead arm
he
last
is-
year. Still,
Yes, but they at least let Breeze go through progressions. Watching Jameis is like watching a college quarterback. He is allowed 2 reads. He is allowed the read on the outside, and then he is allowed Kamara.
they don't want
That
to throw
is it.
across the middle because they know it'll get intercepted.
They don't want him throwing anywhere that they don't specifically like.
Well,
They
Come
have
back
tried
next
to
year,
boil.
I
I think he
think.
can.
They have tried to boil this offense down to like such simplicity. It's crazy to me. I'm interested to see how it changes when Mike Thomas comes back
Slant ball.
because he should be back. Like
Dude,
He
like
should have
week
been back by
9,
now
week-
already. I
week
thought.
he should-
9,
he's on
week
the
10.
he's on the pup. He's on the pup, so that's 6
Ooh.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
he could be back. I mean, who knows though? Honestly,
Who knows?
He could just sit out though too and just be like, deal me in the offseason. So who knows if he even plays, but how much
Maybe.
that will impact the Saints season as a whole, doubt it. But let's get into the crap. We'll start things with Giants Panthers. We saw a Sam Darnold benching for PJ Walker, which was a lot worse. And the fact
So
that Sam Darnold got benched against the Giants of all team says something about Sam Darnold's capability now as a quarterback.
In MetLife Stadium. That's great.
It was just bad
funny.
vibes.
It's so funny. That's of all the places he could have gotten benched, it was MetLife. That's hilarious. Now Panthers are frauds. They're not a team without McCaffrey. Giants aren't a good team, but they're a lot better than the Panthers. Daniel Jones has insane hands.
Daniel
and
Beckham Jr.
that's all I got from this. I mean, and Leonard Williams is very, very good.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel Jones took care of the ball more than Darnold. I thought that's
That's
what
a
this
problem.
game was going to come down to, was just which quarterback took care of the ball and helped their team more than hurt their team. Darnold really hurt the team. Do I think PJ Walker is a better quarterback than Darnold? No, you still had to bench him though. Darnold will be back in. Sometimes you have to bench a quarterback just to like,
Reset
let
them.
him
Tell him to
reset.
get your stuff together. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
you gotta
Yeah.
like you gotta. It's
Whatever
nothing
it was,
against him. I
whatever
think they
you-
still
It's kind of like
Yeah.
whatever you were doing, not working, switch it up, please.
just
kind of what to
you
do.
know take this half. Think about it. Take the week. You're still gonna be the starter. I don't think there's any way he doesn't start this upcoming week. They should really look into. Mina Kimes put up a tweet about it, and I agree. They should look into flipping Gilmore for a higher pick than what they gave up because the Bucks need cornerbacks, the Chiefs need cornerbacks, Washington needs cornerbacks. There are so many teams that would be just to be able to get Gilmore and then talk to him throughout the year to maybe re-sign him. I think teams would even trade picks for that. But if I'm the Buccaneers, I would offer absolutely a 3rd round pick for Gilmore right now. Even though the Panthers gave up a 5th or a 6th, that could be literally life-changing to your secondary.
And that it could. So let's talk about Bucks Bears then. They manhandled good old Justin Fields, only letting him put up 5 points. Of course, 2 of which would be a safety, so his offense only managed 3. And the Bucs put up 38 with Tom Brady having another 4+ touchdown performance and getting number 600 for his career, only quarterback to ever do so. And if he keeps playing, we could see the only guy to do 700 potentially. So
he has another 2-3 years. You think he'd have to be?
If he does
2 years, because
you
have to assume he'll get probably 20 more this year.
I'm going to say 20 more. Yeah.
So if he does then 35,
I think he needs 3 years.
He might not retire until he gets 700,
which would be stupid, insane.
Insane. Yeah, that's the only takeaway from this. I mean, Brady
also the guy who got the ball from Mike Evans and gave it back. Yeah, but
what?
The ball was estimated at $500,000 that it would be worth.
They were never gonna let him sell it.
No,
that's the thing. They would have. That's technically the league's property.
They would have.
So the league could have seized it.
3 jerseys, 2 signed by Brady, 1 signed by Mike Evans, a helmet signed by Tom Brady. He got $1,000 store credit to the
year and a half,
whatever, and then a year and a half of season tickets. I think that's a phenomenal haul.
And a Bitcoin from Tom Brady as well. He said that on the Manning cast last night that he also gave
$70K right there.
That's a haul. That's an insane haul he got.
Well, would have been nice if they gave him, like, if they make the Super Bowl or playoff tickets throughout the
ring.
Yeah, well, that too. That would have been worth it. No, but he definitely got a good amount. At least he didn't Zach Hampel it, so that's good.
What did Zach Hampel get?
He got A-Rod's 3,000th home run, 3,000th hit, which was a home run.
Yeah,
which he held on for ransom for like 2 months.
And like
they offered him so much, and he was like, "No." He was like, "It's not my fault. He hit it out as a home run for me to keep." It's like, okay, you're also.
Did he keep it or did he eventually?
No,
sell
he
it?
ended up getting stuff, and he said make a donation to like a charity, and then they did some other stuff, and he eventually gave.
He jumps in front of little kids to get balls.
They had a press conference of him giving the ball back to A-Rod.
Yeah.
I can't stand him.
But Bucks murdered Justin Fields.
Fields stinks.
Yeah, there's nothing to talk about here. I don't think.
No, Fields stinks. He ain't it. I mean, he's a rookie. I'll give him time a little bit still, but seeing him right now, he stinks.
I think they do need to pull the plug on him for the season when Dalton is good. He's good, right?
Dalton's fine. Yeah, Dalton's fine.
Yeah, that's what I said a couple podcasts.
I think so.
Stick with Dalton.
Clark, me and you were both on it. We both said there's no benefit to playing Fields right now.
No, I know.
And everybody, I'm not saying you guys, but everybody on the internet, media people in too, were like Fields.
Well, I'm in the camp where it's like, let them play and they'll kind of figure it out eventually, right? Like there's going to be growing pains. But this is he's just totally lost.
But I don't
even growing
until I saw Fields play.
Yes.
I don't think there's any room for him to grow with this team and this offense.
Yeah, I think Nagy needs to go.
Well, they just keep sending him out here and doing the same thing. And I mean, like, let's be honest. They were going up against the Bucs. The Bucs defense has been terrible against the pass. But that's the thing. We know how bad the Bucs are against the pass. Matt Nagy didn't care. He still didn't have Fields throw the ball. And when he did throw the ball, the sad part is this Buccaneers pass rush that has been non-existent for most of the year, all of a sudden was the 86 Bears and was living in the backfield. Like the offensive line, it looked like a William Patterson offensive line out there. Like just rumbling. Sorry, from a couple of years ago, from the, when the line moves with the ball. It was bad though. There was nothing redeeming from this game. No. I don't even know why Fields played so much of it. You put Dalton in there, just hand the ball off, get out.
They're trying to sacrifice him to the football gods. But
I love what the Bucs are doing though, of
bludgeoning teams.
Noted friend of the show, Joe Palantonio, texted me before the game and said, do you think Tom Brady's going to go off against the Bears? It should just be a blowout from the start. So he probably shouldn't have that many numbers. And I said, it doesn't matter. The Bucs don't care how many points you are behind.
They were up.
Tom Brady is dropping dimes.
4 touchdowns.
They were up like 4 touchdowns, and they were still taking shots down.
Because it was only the second quarter, Justin.
Yeah, I know.
They couldn't fold the game yet.
I know.
Like they had to keep playing.
I'm surprised there wasn't a Blaine Gabbert signing.
Minutes.
sighting.
Oh,
but
there was. They put
but
him in the
early.
last drive.
No, I know.
Oh yeah. By
like the
third
half
quarter.
to start the half, I would have thought. But
yeah, the Bucks punted from like their own 36 at like the end of the game. They could have kicked another field goal. They just punted this. It was bad, man.
We got two more
It
shit
was really
shows to
bad.
get through. So let's talk.
One sec, Justin.
Okay.
This is the 7th week in a row that a Bears quarterback has not gone over, I think, 250 yards passing.
Yeah.
Which is embarrassing.
The Bears.
His over-under starts at like 195.
That's bad. That's so.
And it's always under. You always take the under.
What's better money? Julius Randle 13.5 for assists and rebounds, or Justin Fields?
Fields right now, because Fields has hit the under in every game. Randle has 2, Randle's hit the over, but that's only 3 games. Fields has gone under in like 6 now.
All right, so Cardinals Texans, the 36 revenge games that were in this game. The David Johnson, Hopkins. It was just a mess. And the result was what we thought it would be: 31-5. Cardinals win, and the 2 best Texans players in franchise history get the win.
I got nothing. I got
Murray.
Murray's my MVP candidate right now. That's what I got.
Yeah, good win for the Cardinals. If they didn't win this game by 20 plus, it'd be a problem. Texans,
they're a mess. Bad.
Nothing to say.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you want to say about the Texans? I mean,
Justin loves the Texans.
The Cardinals are really good. They do a lot of things really well. That's my takeaway. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. Kyler wasn't really running around that much this game, and that's fine. He didn't need to. Don't risk your quarterback getting hit when you don't need him to. When you can just hand off to Edmonds and hand off to Connor, and they can do it, that's fine. DeAndre Hopkins didn't have a huge game. They didn't really target him that much because they didn't really need to.
Yep.
This was a beatdown.
Yeah, and speaking of a beatdown, we have Pats Jets to close out the week, and the Patriots put up a 50 spot on the Jets, winning 54-13. Biggest storyline is Zach Wilson is out 2 to 4 weeks with a PCL injury. They traded for Joe Flacco, and so you got a quarterback room of James Morgan, Joe Flacco, and Mike White. Oh, Jets. And
why did you give up a pick for 2 to 3 weeks of Flacco?
Yeah,
a 5th round pick potentially.
And honestly, he shouldn't even really play. He should just be there. He should be there just to kind of like mentor them, like see what Mike White has.
He's at a start.
I've said this for years, and I'm telling you, if you guys watch it, you'll see it. Flacco's arm is dead.
No, it's been dead. It's been dead since Baltimore.
He can't throw the ball. He can't throw the ball.
It was
and
dead.
He's not mobile.
Going into the year, they drafted Lamar. So that's 4 or 5 years from now.
When did they put him in? Game 6? Game 7?
Yeah. But his arm was dead the year before.
But his arm is done. I have no idea why you would trade for him. You have Mike White. You have James Morgan. And it's 2 to 3 games.
And this is the type of game where if you're the Jets, be like, oh, the tide's starting to turn. Play competitive against the Patriots at least, and it was just nothing.
13 to
But the Patriots were literally running screen passes and then taking deep shot after deep shot after deep shot because they can.
They wanted to run it up on them.
Well, because Belichick absolutely hates the Jets, as we all know. It's the most hated team in football for him. So he'll take every chance that he can to embarrass them, and he's done it.
And he did.
Yeah.
And for Rob Saleh, this is just a kick in the nuts because it's just like your team was just non-competitive. They were even playing for pride at that point.
No,
there's no pride on this New York Jets team.
Hey, at least I destroyed my lock with this one. I mean, I didn't have to stress about it. I was happy about that. Record
aside, right? Who's a worse team, Jets or Lions?
Jets.
Yeah.
Jets.
Worst team, Jets for sure.
How the hell did the Jets beat the Titans?
That's what I wanted.
Look at the Titans.
I think that's the best thing that ever happened to the Titans.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to lose. Sometimes I genuinely think you need to lose. And it
You're right.
Nets needed to lose to a good team in Charlotte. So they could absolutely
pound the Wizards. Then we have a competitive game with the
Jets. They're a disaster, and Patriots, they're just fine. They're
Patriots
they're solid.
Mac Jones is looking like he's the best quarterback out of the draft class, so that's good. I guess.
And he was
Lucky
the
us.
most pro ready. That's
Yeah.
what everybody
No,
said.
and he was going to the best scheme too for a plug and
He
play
was going
quarterback.
to a guy who could build. Yep.
So at least he's
Hunter
the
Henry's
run
been
game
good
is-
too. I've been enjoying Hunter
Yeah.
Henry's touchdowns each game he's been having. So
Yeah.
that's
He
fun.
really likes targeting Henry in the red zone.
Wonder why.
Indeed, he does. But that wraps up the Week 7 podcast. We'll have more later in the week. Some baseball, some football. Jesse's going to do a basketball probably, so make sure to listen to all those when they come out. So, Clark, you know the drill.
Yeah, I do. You know,
Say it.
the YouTubes, the Apple Podcasts, the
Read it.
Spotifys, that stuff. Subscribe and follow on there. On social medias on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Sports Depth Pod. That's Sports DEPT Pod. Yeah, World Series one's coming out probably before this. I don't know. Basketball, sports, wrestling, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned to all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.